Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this morning, Empowering Philanthropy Through Unified Data, the Kauffman Foundation's Path to Operational Excellence with Workday. We're just going to give folks a couple minutes to join, so we'll get started in just a few minutes. Just give it another minute or two, or another 30 seconds, more like. Oh, actually. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? Can everyone see my screen? Jeff and Sam, if you can confirm for me.
Sure can.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, welcome everyone again. My name is Michelle Adams O'Regan. I'm the Industry Director for Public Services and Education Industries at Workday. And I am so excited to be hosting and introducing our session today. So before we jump in, I'll just give a little bit of housekeeping and a little bit of background. Hold on a second. There we go. First, this is our safe harbor product statement, which indicates that no decision should be made on the basis of any forward-looking statements about product or strategies that we make in the webinar today. We don't plan on those, but just FYI. This session will be recorded and will be available to view afterwards along with the audio transcript, and we will be using the Q&A function. So please put your questions in there throughout, and we will be answering as many as we have time for at the end of the session. But you can put them in there anytime, and we will hopefully get to them at the end. So I'm just going to start us off with some kind of level setting facts and figures about Workday as a company. What is Workday? We led the way, taking finance and HR to the cloud 2 decades ago. This is our 20th anniversary this year. That was just the start. We've been on a growth journey ever since. We've expanded our offerings from HR to finance and beyond, and we are a leader in AI, which you can see on here has been built into the platform since 2014. And we have a relentless focus on innovation, and that's continued to fuel our growth. If you are not familiar with us, Workday offers enterprise management cloud applications for HR, finance, analytics and planning, budgeting, spend management, grants management, all within one unified AI platform. So what you see here is our product portfolio, and then surrounding it, all of the things about the Workday platform and community that help to increase the options for our customers and their abilities to increase their agility, their transformation, and their performance by managing their people and their money together on the platform. With AI is built into the core. So you can see that on the bottom there, the Illuminate Intelligent Data Core. And nonprofits have been Workday customers almost since our beginnings. And over the past 10 years, we've built momentum, 15 years really, we've built momentum among nonprofits globally. We continue to grow and to find new and more innovative ways to support mission-based organizations. We do have a dedicated nonprofit practice at Workday, and we have actually over 700 nonprofit customers globally. And those customers have operations in over 125 countries around the world. That's a conservative estimate. And as you can see from this slide, this just gives you a sense of who our customers are. We support nonprofits across the breadth of this very diverse sector, all sizes, all missions, NGOs, public media and arts organizations, faith-based and social welfare providers, foundations and philanthropic orgs, professional associations, research institutions. I hope I haven't missed anything, but everything in between to help support these organizations as they work every day to achieve their mission. So with that in mind, I just want to finally share this quote from our co-founder, Anil Bousri, because it speaks to a key element of the trusted partnership that Workday has with our nonprofit customers, which is that shared commitment to changing the world for the better. And so with, as we navigate today's uncertain and rapidly changing world, that's what we hope investment in cloud-based technology and the responsible ethical use of all technologies will help us all do. So today we're going to be hearing from a leader at one of our incredible customer organizations about their Workday journey alongside one of our fantastic partners. So with that, I want to welcome our speakers. We are very lucky to have with us today Jeff VanHoven, the Vice President of Client Strategic Partnerships at CrossVue, and Samantha Scheibe, the Business Systems Manager at the Kauffman Foundation. Thank you guys so much for being with us today. So Jeff, just to start us off before we let Sam have the floor and tell us more about the Kauffman story, if you could introduce yourself and CrossVue, just to set the stage for the audience, on the important role that you guys play as a partner for nonprofits.
Yeah, happy to, Michelle. Thanks for that warm welcome. So first off, just thanks to everyone that's joining us today. I know that everyone has a lot going on, I'm sure. So just want to say thank you for sharing your time with us. I'm Jeff VanHoven. I serve as CrossVue's Client Strategic Partnerships Leader, which really means that I have the joy of collaborating with our entire portfolio of nonprofit clients and partners to drive delivery success and account planning. And then more tactically, my team and I serve as advisors, tour guides, we'll say, and risk mitigators on engagements across really all of our offerings for clients just like the Kauffman Foundation. If we go to the next slide, a little bit about CrossVue. We are an end-to-end consulting and Workday services partner that has been in the ecosystem since 2014. And really we specialize in supporting clients across the regulated industries, but especially nonprofit that are looking for that transformative Workday journey and a partnership starting early with strategic planning all the way through deployment and into post-production support. I'll just spend a little bit of time here. I mean, helping nonprofit organizations more efficiently deliver on their mission has been a really core and strategic investment, focus, and personally a passion of CrossVue over the past several years in partnership with Workday. And we're really excited and proud about the key solutions and expertise we bring to nonprofit sub-industries, especially across social and welfare and mission organization, foundations like Kauffman, and then professional and trade associations, just to name a few. We really find that each nonprofit brings its own unique nuance or opportunity for efficiency that we love helping solution for. And I'm just excited to explore this a bit more with Sam today from Kauffman. So Sam,
Awesome.
I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeff. Go ahead, Sam. Why don't you start us off by telling us a little bit about yourself, about Kauffman, about your Workday journey?
Okay, awesome. Well, my name is Samantha Scheibe. I am the Business Systems Manager at the Kauffman Foundation. I've been here 10 years. So I've played roles such as the Accounts Payable Manager, Analyst, Senior Analyst, and now as my current position, I really help administer our operating systems within the foundation to make sure that security is right, that business processes are set up as expected, and that users are able to use the systems and get the data that they need on a day-to-day basis. So it's really fun. It speaks to the nerd in me to make reports and design systems. A little bit about the Kauffman Foundation. So Mr. K was really into wanting to build economic mobility, to just regardless of anybody's race or gender or geography. And so we have stayed committed to his initial passions for education, entrepreneurship in Kansas City. And he really believed that through the power of education and entrepreneurship that we could have economic mobility throughout. We recently went through a strategic refresh where we found new grant pathways, or refreshed our grant pathways, I guess you could say. So now we're committed to funding and supporting college access, career, workforce, and entrepreneurship.
Phenomenal. Such a great mission. So I'm gonna stop sharing here, and we can kind of get into a little bit more of the story, Kauffman and Workday. So why don't we start off with some kind of before and after? So Sam, what was the state of your systems and your processes, all the things that you oversee at Kauffman pre-Workday? And then post-Workday.
So when we started looking at a solution, we had multiple systems. So we had a system for payroll, a system for benefits, a system for performance review, our financial system, our reporting system. So it was all segmented and they all had different administrators and the integrations were manual and the reporting was horrible. So we decided to go forward with Workday, and we consolidated about 6 or 7 systems into one, which meant we have now automated integrations with our benefit providers, with our financial institutions. And it's just given us the opportunity to really look at our business process holistically and really understand how we can get the most bang for our buck, do best practices, follow our policies, and do that all within one centralized system. We also, when we first launched, we decided to take that administration piece and put that hat on 1 or 2 people, just until we understood the system. Lately, we've been starting to delegate that out a little bit more, but being such a small foundation, we started with the centralized administration.
Makes sense. Let's see. So let me ask the question that we love to ask at Workday. Why Workday? Why did you choose Workday, and how did the implementation process kind of unfold for you?
Well, why not Workday, right? No,
that's fine.
No, it was just when we were looking at systems, the user interface with Workday was just so great. I mean, I don't know another way to say it. It was easy to navigate. It offered everything we needed and a lot more. So it just seemed like a natural fit for us, and it really housed everything that we needed, from an HR to a finance to reporting, and it's just been a great solution for us.
Awesome. We love to hear that. Well then, okay, let's ask the follow-up question. Why CrossVue? Since, they were your implementation partners and the folks that were kind of, in the trenches with you guys through it and still today. So why CrossVue?
They're still stuck with us today. No, so when we chose Workday, we decided, okay, we have to find our implementation team. So we interviewed a few different options. CrossVue was just a smaller team, which we spoke to our hearts because we're a smaller team. Their culture more aligned with ours. And I mean, even just our first conversations, it was like we were talking to our best friends. We just clicked, we could work well together. And like you mentioned, they have been with us ever since we went live. They're still our post-production support. So it's been a really great partnership. We're very lucky.
Awesome. I feel like that cultural fit is what makes your vendors not just vendors, but partners.
Yeah.
And that's what Workday always wants to be and what all of our partners are to us. And we want all of us to be that to our customers. So that's fantastic to hear. Jeff, you want to comment on that?
Sure. And I'll just say thanks, Sam. I mean, we couldn't think of a better team to be stuck with, so to speak. So, I mean, look, I think I just agree holistically with Sam here, Michelle. For deployments of this scale and importance, right? These are really important programs that organizations are taking on to better their mission, and especially in kind of the remote setting that we needed to operate in. Establishing that tone of trust and partnership really early has proven imperative and kind of paid dividends throughout the project. We agree completely. I mean, it's part of our core values that culture is important, right? And something we want to deliver in day out. But the good news here, is that it doesn't just come down to that organic chemistry between the people. It helps, of course. We also can kind of build the confidence together through the implementation approach itself, the one that we agree on and we iterate on throughout the project. And that comes with as well the governance structure that we establish, the tools that help us along the way, et cetera. So I know we'll probably talk a little bit more about that, but for now, I mean, we're just so thankful for Kauffman's partnering mindset along with their active participation in the Workday methodology and the deployment process over the past, 6 years, Sam, I think it's been almost, kind of buying in together, right, to what's ahead of the project start and then throughout.
Love it. So you mentioned remote environment. And I think, there have been tons of challenges that nonprofits have encountered over the last couple of years, COVID being one of the ones that caused that remote environment that we all had to navigate. And certainly, doing a major digital transformation, is challenging in general. So talk to us about some of the challenges that you guys faced while you were implementing. And this is for Sam. How did Workday and CrossVue help you get through those?
Yeah, so we actually were fortunate enough to be pre-COVID during the design phase. So CrossVue partnered, they came out here, they spent weeks with us here in Kansas City, like really diving into our business processes and giving some really good suggestions on best practices and how to use Workday to benefit us the most. And then one day we went into the office and they said, okay, go home. And we were still implementing. So we're like, oh my goodness. So we went home and CrossVue just held our hand through the whole thing. I mean, they were getting used to working remote just at the same time that the rest of the world was.
We're all in it together.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, it was so fun. And I don't know if implementations are supposed to be fun, but it was because, I mean, we just had great partners and we did it from the comfort of our homes in our jammies most of the time. So, it was a great environment.
Awesome. So I love to hear that it's fun because ideally that's what it would be. Jeff, you want to comment on that a little bit, on your experience with the implementation and on the work you've done here?
Sure. Look, and Sam, I'm sure the team kind of missed being in Kansas City and all the barbecue during the COVID, as that was starting up. But I think for me, I'll just reemphasize here the importance of building that right groundwork in the relationship early in the deployment, and whether that's together on site or remote, both are feasible. But doing so really helps keep everyone harmonized. There is a lot that will be asked of any organization going through a program like this. And as you learn the system, you're starting to also think about all of the art of the possible. Having that foundation that we establish allows for the honest dialogue to keep design and conversations really focused and on track in line with project goals, in this case for the Kauffman Foundation. And I'll add to that, establishing I mentioned this a little bit before, strong governance model early, iterating it, revisiting that model to see if it works throughout the deployment provides the structure and creates the space for our teams to raise questions, have focused conversations, and hit some challenges head on together.
Yeah, and one of the things I also have heard from lots of customers with their implementation experiences is that the good communication, the harmonization, and also keeping the mission at the center is another thing that really helps to keep everybody on track for everyone, the whole team. And when I say the whole team, I mean CrossVue and Kauffman and Workday, to always be kind of keeping that at the forefront. So with that in mind, that's the real reason why any nonprofit organization wants to realize operational excellence, right? It's to further their mission. It's to further Mr. K's vision. So Sam, let me ask you, how did Workday impact your team's ability to focus on their work and the organization's mission? I mean, of course, the technology doesn't do the work, doesn't achieve the mission. The hope is that it frees up time, resources, space, for better strategy for you guys. So talk a little bit about that, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, it streamlined all of our processes, and it did allow for those manual interventions to become automated so that our analysts could analyze data and do their daily responsibilities and not worrying about just systems talking to one another. So we went live in 2020, and about 3 years ago, we were challenged by our CFO to get back to the basics. And so that was our team goal. And we realized that it was so much easier to do this with Workday, with CrossVue, because we all knew the system and it was easy to look at the business processes, and we all were speaking that same vocabulary that you don't have when you have segmented systems. So this year, our challenge is cross-training our backfills. So if you're out of the office, who's going to run payroll, or,
Redundancy. Yeah.
So it's been great because all of our associates, they know what Workday is, they know how to navigate through it. And it's such an easy system to navigate that the cross-training is more about the why and not so much the how.
Yeah.
And it's just given us such dynamic reporting and dashboards that, whether it's our fabulous AP specialists that are looking at what payments are outstanding, to even our upper management that's looking at workforce development. We have these dashboards and these reports that are at our fingertips with real live data. So the after has been great and has been able to allow us to streamline, I think is the best word, and allow us to really focus on our mission and getting the job done and being that back of the house support for our impact officers and our other team members that are out there in the community.
See, I love this. I want to mention two things here that I love. One is the reporting that you mentioned, because I've definitely had nonprofit CFOs and finance folks, and I once was in that world myself, knowing how we have to work overnight for a board meeting, that all of that can be very difficult to get the data together and current by the time you finally deliver the report. And, I definitely feel like being able to deliver that much more easily is a huge plus. So I'm so happy to hear that you guys are experiencing that. And then the other thing is, you mentioned a number of times the user experience, and the shared experience that, that consumer grade experience. I always think about what we expect of technology in our everyday lives. We expect it to be user friendly. And why should we expect anything different when we're, at our jobs, when we're in our office? So being able to provide that, the hope is that it makes the working lives of, the folks that dedicate every day, to nonprofit work easier. So speaking of people, because, technology is technology, but, it's only as successful as its adoption. It's only as successful as the people, that can get on board and, be using it. People are just the center of that, and change can be hard. Now, this is a while ago that you guys made that shift. But I think it's a good lesson for folks listening, maybe, to hear a little bit more about how you handled that training and adoption. It sounds like you're handling the iterations of it really well moving forward, but how did that kind of initially roll out for you?
Yeah, so when we first went live, CrossVue was very adamant that we take the Workday learning, and thank goodness we did, because they would say things to us and we wouldn't understand it. And then we took the Workday training courses and we're like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Okay, that makes sense. So taking that learning as the people actually using the system gave us so much confidence and just the ability to be able to train our associates. So we went live with finance HCM, both of them. Then right after we went live, we did performance management, and then we did advanced comp, and then we did procurement, and we just recently rolled out expense. And we did an initial training of here's what expense looks like. And the person that did that training, sat down with everybody and was like, listen, I know that change is hard. And we went from Concur to Workday, and I will be here. I will have office hours if anybody needs help. And I was talking to her about it, and I was like, so how's office hours going? Are a lot of people coming? And she's like, oh my gosh, Sam, nobody shows up. Everybody's able to use the system without me holding their hand. So the adoption has been great because I'm just going to keep repeating myself because it's just a great tool. It's easy to navigate. It's intuitive.
That's great to hear. So you may have answered this, and I'm so sorry if you did. We do have a question in the chat. You implemented payroll and time and absence along with HCM, yes? Okay, I just to make sure. So the answer is yes to the question in the chat. Jeff, Sam mentioned, CrossVue insisting on the training, which is awesome. So your thoughts on that?
Yes, we tried to be kind of loving parents in that way, right? To give the right tools up front. But I mean, the reality of it is, I agree with Sam. I mean, adoption in this case is so directly tied to training and engagement from the group from the very beginning of the project, and not just trusting we're all smart, we'll pick it up. Consuming the Workday delivered training early in the deployment journey, is not just homework for the team, right? The training truly helps equip clients for kind of more well-informed conversations fairly soon into the deployment, but especially later in the project. We're talking about critical design sessions, testing phases, having workstream calls weekly, right? The ability to dive right into more complex concepts as part of that broader paradigm shift is all made more possible by taking the training. So the way we look at it is just coming together early as a PMO to intentionally map out the training plan along with, an organization's overall capacity planning model. Those two things together builds that initial project training plan, and those activities help manage the deployment workload and team bandwidth later, while significantly improving adoption and team engagement. So they really just go hand in hand there. And the sooner we find organizations do consume the training, the more quickly we can jump in to more complex solutioning.
More value faster. Makes sense to me. Let's get on. We were talking about training. We're talking about, post implementation. Let's get it even a little bit further into that. What happens after you go live, after that sort of initial phase. Sam, what were some of the kind of key learnings and improvements that you guys made post implementation? Because we always say this is a journey. There's always going to be, we hope you're going to continue to expand your footprint and enhance, your tech infrastructure, for many years. But even just as part of that initial transformation, there's going to be that sort of progression. So talk about that a little.
So we utilized the launch method, which when we were, for those that don't know what the launch method is, it's like they shove everything into what feels like 4 weeks. So your design, your testing, your go live. It was more than 4 weeks, but it was a very shortened timeline. But I will say things that we did well was we had our own project manager. So CrossVue had theirs and we had our own, and they would talk, several times a week just to make sure that both teams were still on track. Like CrossVue offered a lot of testing scripts that we used, but we had to have somebody make sure everybody was still staying up to expectations and if there were problems. So that project manager played a key role for us. I would say take the Workday training as early as you can. There were some trainings that we took a little bit later than I think we should have. Just to have a better design discussion and be more knowledgeable about what CrossVue was asking of us and about our processes. And I think being open-minded to your implementation specialist. So when CrossVue said, okay, we know you do A, B, and C, but industry best practice, and with Workday, maybe we need to do B, C, D. Yeah. We were very receptive to that and understood that they were the experts. And as long as we got the end product that we needed and stayed in compliance, that we would be okay. So we have continued our partnership with CrossVue, and we have launched like I said earlier, our performance management, advanced comp, procurement, and expense. And I think something that has helped us have a big win is just having that partnership and that trust in one another.
Mhm.
So a lot of pros there, a little bit of con with taking the learning a little bit later, but we did it, and we continue to take learning throughout the years. To if somebody comes in and wants to learn how to do reporting, all right, Workday offers really great tools.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I think the best practices element there is kind of critical, particularly with launch. So launch is our sort of faster deployment methodology that's based on best practices from thousands of implementations. And every organization is unique and has unique needs, and that's what we're here for, obviously, to make to help make it work for you. But recognizing that not doing what we call lifting and shifting, because lots of times people just want to cram sort of existing, maybe not best practices, because God knows we all have those, into the new system, instead of making a change to a best practice. But ultimately, it's for the furtherment of the organization. So yeah, so that's my sense. But Jeff, let's hear your thoughts about post production.
Yeah, happy to. So, I mean, I'm really happy that, Kauffman really embraced the Workday methodology. I think that is a major key to success. And I think part of that is understanding that not everything will be, conceived or delivered or fully fleshed out by go live, right? And so that's where the notion of post-production support can be really handy. And I think that this applies really to any organization, just not just nonprofits. And so when we talk about post-production support, we think about really a scalable and tailored overall experience based on where an organization may be and their readiness and overall Workday journey and timeline. In this case, with Kauffman, we really view our relationship as really a helping hand for Kauffman, whether it's tier 2 tickets, one-off things that come up, or even wholesale rolling adoption of new Workday solutions. Sam mentioned going live with Workday expenses, right, as part of their journey. And that's just part of any organization's evolution within the Workday product and looking to expand as they do. To say it a little differently, we accomplish a lot during the deployment, but go live is often the starting point for most organizations. And so during the initial deployment, we establish the tools and frameworks to capture as best as possible those nice to haves, those post go live or roadmap items that ideally help rationalize what post go live looks like and where Kauffman may want to go, or other organizations may want to go as part of their target operating model and future state. So that's a conversation we don't just have, a week before go live. We start that conversation early to start to think about, yes, these are the confines of our deployment and what we will accomplish per your goals and the mission. But what's later? What's to come? And how do we get there together?
Yeah, it's that setup for long-term success, which is phenomenal. So speaking of success, that was an excellent segue, Jeff, to my next question. Let's talk about value realized. You guys have been live for a long time. And so what impact has Workday actually had? You've talked a little bit about the streamlining and, making processes easier, but I'd love to hear more, Sam, if you wouldn't mind sharing on, your KPIs.
Yeah. So, I think KPIs can be qualitative and quantitative. So yeah, I could pull a report that says our payables are met within X amount of days. And I know our team does that, but I think the things that hold more value is things such as our adoption rate and our engagement with our associates and the usability of the tool, so that when you do have to do an expense report, which is not everybody's favorite thing to do, you get it done quickly so that you can get back to fulfilling, Mr. Kauffman's mission, Mr. Kauffman's legacy. I think that I can't express enough about the dashboards. They have been phenomenal. We have them for our finance team. We have them for our workforce planning. So when our department leads are talking with our talent and culture department about what headcount looks like, or what merit increases look like. It's in the dashboard. They don't have to go hunting for the information. I think other things that have been great is just the security that Workday offers. Not even so much from a permission standpoint, but from a documentation standpoint. We can put confidential information into Workday and know that only certain people in our talent and culture department can see that. And so they don't have to hold as many paper files in their office. It's all in one place.
Yeah, security is a tremendous benefit for sure. So we're really happy that you do feel that. Let's talk about the support structure that you have in place. So I think, Jeff mentioned governance at the beginning, and, so there's a lot that goes into implementing a new system. And, one of those things is, how are you sustaining it? It's not, the end is not when you go live. It's how are you going to continue to live and grow in this system? So, do you feel like there's a point of self-sustainability for Kauffman? Are you focused on continuing to partner so that you can focus on mission critical areas? Like, would love your perspective on that sort of future look.
So we are a small organization, and as far as like the administrative back end of it, we are even smaller. So we keep our post-production support with CrossVue primarily if we are rolling out a new module or for our payroll and benefits, because you never want to mess up somebody's check or their benefits. So they're the experts there. But we've had the conversations of, do we just become our own experts and rely on ourselves and not have that post-production support? But when it comes down to it, we all have day jobs, and the expert is CrossVue's day job. So instead of a potential increase in FTEs, to have that expertise here in the building, we find cost savings through keeping our support with our trusted partners.
Yeah. No, and thank you for sharing that, because I feel like that's a really great point for smaller organizations. How do you manage this? So Jeff, any thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I would say, while we do see some organizations truly reach that kind of self-sustainability with Workday, to Sam's point, PPS in this space can completely scale organically based on the need. Right. So whether it be the light over the shoulder support that we provide, a quick question here and there, or more robust staff and skill augmentation for more heavy seasonal activities, there are multiple ways that you can create a partnership that allows for really just filling in some of the gaps, right? So that organizations don't necessarily have to go out and hire whole teams of very skilled expert Workday implementers, or just with the product itself, to depend on them, and coming to partners, right, to help there. We do see organizations finding a lot of value with. So we're just happy to offer that, and for organizations looking for it, we can tailor it to whatever you need.
Yeah, and it can look different for different orgs, but I just think it's important to note that those options exist. Because I think too often people might think, well, there's no way we can maintain this. It's like, well, you can, just by using different methods. So, all right. So sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say that we often see too, I mean, Sam, you were talking about the engagement of your project manager. We do see organizations that say, hey, I don't have a project manager that may know Workday, or I don't have the right testing management activity with in-house. And so staff augmentation can be a critical help there for the core deployment itself too.
Yeah, really good point. So I want to kind of bring us, we're getting close on time. I want to make sure that we can answer some questions. So I want to kind of bring us to a close with sort of looking forward. We mentioned a number of times, continuing the journey. But Sam, what are Kauffman's future plans with Workday?
So we've recently hired another administrator, so I get to share the love. It'll be great because it will allow us to look at more modules such as learning or adaptive planning and be able to tackle implementing those and see how they would benefit us. We just recently released an AI policy for our internal use. So really looking at what that policy says and the AI with Workday and how they can align and how we can use the AI that Workday provides a little bit more. And then, we're hoping a few years down the road, maybe including the sourcing and contract management piece. But
Yep.
we'll see what we can get done.
I love how you guys are thinking. I actually will put a plug in for that. I feel like we can't talk about the future of any technology without talking about AI, and Workday is a platform that has AI built into the core. So if any folks are planning on joining us at Rising in San Francisco in September, you will hear a whole heck of a lot more about illuminating the future of work with AI, including at the Nonprofit Summit at Rising. So just putting a plug in for that. And there's also digital attendance options. So we hope to see folks there to learn more about it. So Jeff, you want to share any thoughts about kind of the future and what other foundations like Kauffman might be thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'll just agree with you, Michelle. I think Workday, it's impressive how Workday constantly is evolving in response to the market and looking around corners, specifically in those areas of machine learning and AI. Not to wholesale change, right, how an organization operates, but really just to enhance, right, some of the core processes and be able to conduct some BPs or security or in-house operations a little bit smoother. So it's exciting to watch that and be at the forefront of that with our client organizations. We do see other organizations like Kauffman, whether they be foundations, associations, or otherwise, in the same shoes. Right. This is an opportunity to, listen into Workday, listen to partners, and help think about, where the roadmap wants to take you. Where do you want to go? And partners can help guide organizations, in that kind of change process, with whether it be prioritization or just assistance with learning more about the Workday product and how it fits with their mission and roadmap.
Yeah, love that. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for sharing all this perspective. I wanted to make sure that we had a couple minutes for questions because some have come in the chat. So I want to make sure that we get to at least a couple of them. So let me hit the first one. This is a good one for Sam. What advice would you give to another nonprofit engaging in this type of project? If you could do it all again.
We could do it all again. I think having your subject matter experts at the table whenever you're doing your design phase was critical. We were designing both HCM and finance, so we were in different rooms, and sometimes I was in one and sometimes I was in the other. So really understanding that design phase is very important. I'll say the Workday learning again. Take it as soon as you can. And they offer online, they offer in person, depending on what the course is. I've done both and they're both great. That project manager is crucial because there are a lot of things that go on in an implementation. Like, for example, we kind of forgot about emails. And once we went live, we're like, oh goodness, all these emails are coming out and all these notifications. We didn't even think about that. So having somebody there thinking about those things, thinking about integrations, having a conversation with your benefits or financial institution partners that, we're going to be integrating and getting those conversations started sooner rather than later was really helpful.
Yeah. Great advice. Really, really good advice. So let me ask you a little bit more of a product-based one. I think this is a really good one because we didn't touch too much on this, but at Kauffman, are you currently using Workday for your grant management? If a separate system, do you use Workday for grant budgeting and reporting? I think that's we've talked a little bit about how you guys are managing that, so it'd be great to share that if you wouldn't mind.
So we use a grants management system called Flux. And we do have integrations that run automatically between Flux and Workday. So as far as our reporting, we get a lot of it out of Flux, we get a lot out of Workday, and we kind of marry that all in our data lake. So yeah, I mean, you get to see both sides or some of the life cycle of a grant in Workday, but we do use a different system.
Yeah, I think it's important to note, just because you guys are a foundation, which uses grants management differently potentially than a different type of nonprofit that could use it through the full life cycle. But we've seen a lot of really successful integration, with Flux and other systems for pre-award, with foundations. So good. Thank you for sharing. All right, one last one. We're just about ready to wrap up, but and I feel like you kind of answered this one already. Did you bring on additional resources to facilitate the project and the training and transition? And that's for a smaller org. I think you mentioned the project manager. I'll let you answer.
I mean, we were fortunate enough that we had a consultant that was at the end of his scope of work that we said, hey, you're not leaving yet. So we did keep him on, and he was a great project manager. But no, we did all the testing ourselves, and we attended those weekly meetings, and sometimes by multiple meetings a week, and we had sequestered ourselves in Zoom rooms at the time because of COVID. But we did it all ourselves, and it seemed like a huge task at the time, but it's really doable. It's really doable.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. Awesome. Well, I think we actually went over a couple minutes here, but this has been a great conversation. So I just want to thank you so much, Jeff, CrossVue, and most of all, especially to Sam and to the Kauffman Foundation for honoring us with your partnership and for being here today to share your experiences. Thank you to our audience. If your question was not answered, we will try to follow up with you. Thanks again for being here, and have a great workday.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.